Hello and welcome to the Go Creative Show. My name is Ben Consoli. Today we have Connor Crosby with us once again.
Hello.
We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff today. My reactions to Joker 2, and I've got a lot to say, as does the whole world. Of course, Apple Vision Pro just released a brand new film called Submerge, which is another immersive film. And Meta is getting into the AI video generator. There's a lot going on. There is a lot going on. But first, Connor, you've given me so much crap in the past for being an old man, which is true. I agree, I am. However, you just pulled your back out from twisting the wrong way this week, which is a very old man thing.
I mean, this wasn't something I was expecting to be sharing to our audience. But okay, yes, I have sciatica, which I've had for about a year, but unfortunately just recently kind of re-aggravated it. So dealing with the consequences of that. Like right now, I'm sitting with a pillow that has lumbar support.
Who's the old man now? I love that.
Yeah, I certainly don't. I would prefer not to be in pain.
No, that does suck, especially since you got to be mobile. You're going to be gone all week next week for a BC Media production shoot in Denver. So
that's right.
You've got a lot going on.
You could say that. Yep.
But we're going to work through the pain. It's easy for me to say. But I have been in that situation, not with sciatica, but I certainly have done a shoot. In fact, I did a shoot for Siemens once with Sean Meehan, our good friend. And I was in so much pain. I was like, I had to like lift things. I couldn't move my back at all. So I was like squatting down to grab stuff and just standing up with my back needed to be totally straight the whole time. It hurt more to sit than stand, but it wasn't comfortable in any situation. It sucks.
Yeah. It does. Yeah. That doesn't sound fun at all.
No, it does not. But besides back pain, there is a lot going on in the video world. I don't know if you know, but today, October 10th, Apple put out their next like immersive film called Submerge, which I've been really excited for. The preview was really cool. That went out a couple weeks ago, I think maybe.
Yes.
And the behind the scenes just came out today alongside the video. Did you see any of those?
I saw the first clip that they released, the trailer that kind of started to show a little bit of behind the scenes because they obviously wanted to show off the fact that it was made for and using Apple Vision Pro. And then as we were kind of preparing for today's episode, I quickly started looking at the behind the scenes video. And it is impressive what technology they have.
It's like, yes. Okay. Now, what I'm going to say, first of all, I bought an Apple Vision Pro when it first came out. So yeah, I'm always going to want to justify that purchase because it is not cheap. But no. I have to say, I love that thing more and more as the weeks go on. Am I using it every single day, every second? No, it's not. But I don't use my iPad every second, every day. But I still love the thing. It's like some products you just are using constantly, like the phone. The Vision Pro, at least for me, is not something I use day in and day out. But when I do, I love it. And when things like this come out, I'm like, oh my God, this is exactly why I bought this thing, for experiences like this. It's really, really fun.
Yeah, dear listener, the amount of FaceTimes I'll occasionally get from Ben where it's his, what's the term for your avatar?
Persona.
Yeah, he just calls and it's his persona, so a 3D animation of him as opposed to, actually being himself. And it always freaks me out for a split second.
They are sort of weird looking. Yeah, it's got growing pains. It certainly has. It's Gen 1, you know what I'm saying? Like it is what it is. But the reason I'm bringing it up on this show, not because of the technology of the Apple Vision Pro itself, but the fact that this camera that Apple created, I can't find a lot of information about it. And I have been digging and digging. So I really am hoping, my fingers are crossed, but I'm really hoping that the cinematographer of this submerged film, James Friend, comes on the show. James, if you're listening, if any of your friends are listening, please come on the Go Creative Show. I want to talk to you about how you shot this film because it's 8K 3D, 180-degree field of view. And just as you're watching it, you're like, it's different than IMAX, because IMAX is definitely immersive in its own way. It's huge, but this is different. This is like isolating in a way, like you are very much alone in this space. And you can look everywhere, but you don't really need to. Even when there's stuff happening on the side, you just kind of feel it happening, even if you don't see it. Like it's amazing how perceptive your peripheral vision is. You don't realize it because you never need it when you're watching a movie in a traditional setting.
Sure.
But when it's here, at first you're like, oh my God, look. But eventually you just settle in and watch it like a regular film. And there's all these things going on around you that support and enhance the experience that you don't really need to look at. You're still absorbing it. I found that really fascinating. It's 17 minutes. And I'd say by minute 4 or 5, I stopped just being dazzled by how wide the field of view was and just watched it and just let go. And that's, I think, when I enjoyed it even more.
Yeah, that sounds really fascinating. I did have a Vision Pro recently, not recently, but very briefly when it came out, and I decided to return it just because it wasn't for me. And during that time, though, I did get to experience a couple of the pieces of media that Apple had released at the time, and it is pretty fascinating that it's one of the first. What am I trying to say here? It's a brand new way of both creating and consuming content, because you become the cinematographer in a sense. Like you get to decide where you want to look. And so it's really fascinating. Actually, I'm curious, were you able to like turn around and look behind you?
No, it's 180. That's it.
Okay.
And as you turn, you see the edges of it. They do a pretty good job.
Okay.
It's elegantly blended where that it just kind of fades, but there is definitely an end to it. And I think that the filmmakers purposely didn't put anything too important on the sides. It's more just like environmental stuff. But there definitely are some points where they make you want to turn a little bit, but it's not in a distracting way. Oh, one thing I wanted to mention though is what I was the most concerned about with these immersive films is camera movement. Because I thought to myself, I'm like, you can't really move the camera that much or else people are going to get sick.
That's a good point.
This film actually moves the camera quite a bit. It's not handheld, but it is on a dolly, and it's very purposeful movement. But it doesn't make you sick. And I'm really sensitive to that. But they use camera movement in such a cool way, because you're in a submarine. It's very narrow, it's very tight, it's very claustrophobic. And they take advantage of that by giving you straight forward and backward moves along like, like hallways. And actions coming towards you as you are moving forward and vice versa. And it's not a ton of movement, but when it happens, you do get that kind of woozy feeling, but it doesn't make you sick. It just feels like you're in the moment. It's hard to explain, and that's why I really would love James to come on and talk about it. But as far as the camera goes, what is this camera? It says that Apple developed it themselves.
Yes. I remember seeing it on a keynote at some point.
What is it? And there's not a lot of information about it, at least that I can find. Maybe if I dig into Reddit, but just like doing Google searches, I can't find much about it. So if anybody knows about it out there, please do let me know. Send us links, because I'm really interested in what this camera's all about. But it was really an interesting way of storytelling. Actually, the director, I'll put up the article. It was in Collider. The director talked about a couple of things, a couple of challenges. One, everything is in frame. So you have to have practical ceilings and walls and floors. Where are you going to put the lights? All they can be is right behind you. So a lot of the lighting is in the scene. Thought that was interesting. And he also mentioned that before he filmed anything, and the he I'm talking about is Edward Berger, the director. Before he filmed anything, they did an animatic, like an actual animated version of the storyboards, and watched it in Apple Vision Pro to see if it would work, which I thought was kind of interesting.
I guess that makes sense. I mean, there really isn't this kind of content that's already out there for something like this. So you're going to want to make sure that it works in some capacity, or like, oh, does this push-in actually work, or does it make everyone sick to their stomach? Things like that. So I feel like that makes a lot of sense.
You saw the behind-the-scenes video, though, because a lot of people are wearing the Vision Pros to monitor, but some aren't.
I thought it was really interesting. I'd love to know the technology that they're using, or what app it is, to be able to see what is on their monitor actually in the Vision Pro, and I'm sure in a way that actually makes sense to be seen, you know, where it's kind of taking up the majority of their view and maybe they're seeing both lenses. I'd love to know what they're using for that.
Yeah. I'm just going to put it out there again. James Friend, be a friend to Go Creative Show. Did you get that?
Yes.
Did you hear that? Come on the show and talk to us about your experiences. And first of all, your career in cinematography, which goes way beyond this film. But we would have a lot to talk about. I think we'd have a fun conversation. So I'm putting it out there into the universe. There was something else I wanted to say about it, but I forgot. But that's okay. If it pops into my head, I will move forward with it. But and the perfect length for me, 17 minutes. You know I don't love a long movie.
Yes. I know. When you mentioned that you were seeing the new Joker movie the other day, I was thinking, oh, is he going to leave halfway through the movie like he typically does?
You're giving away all the secrets. Have you seen it yet?
That's right. No, I have no interest in seeing it, especially with the reviews of it.
So what have you been hearing about it?
I've heard that the director did not end up liking the audience, or who resonated, who the first movie resonated with the most, and as a result decided to kind of turn the second one up on its face and kind of make fun of that audience. And as a result, this movie tends to not really have any audience whatsoever, and the musical aspect of it doesn't make any sense.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. I didn't know that was something that was he quoted in saying that? Like, did he actually make a statement about it?
I don't know. This is just what I've seen online. So who knows if there's anything accurate to that. But I heard that there were a lot of people that resonated with that character and feeling like a nobody, or feeling like society doesn't like them and things like that. And they were very hardcore and things like that. And so the director just apparently was not a fan of that and decided to kind of make fun of it and that kind of stuff in the second one.
Well, I saw Joker 2 a couple days ago. I knew that the reviews weren't great, but I loved the first one so much. I'm like, I have to see this. Plus, sometimes when a movie just gets crapped on like that, I'm like, I don't know. I almost want to support it. And when I see it kind of falling apart like that, I'm like, come on, so much effort, so much work went into this thing. There has to be something to it. So I went to go see it. The only kind of gossip that I heard about it going into it was really old gossip, that Joaquin Phoenix didn't want to do a sequel. And basically, in an attempt to get him interested, the decision was made to have it be a musical, so it's different. I don't know how true that is. It's all hearsay, and it was very old. Like, that was from like way back before even the trailer came out.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Like, I don't know. I'm just like, why was it a musical? That's the impression that I get when I'm watching it. Like, it looked awesome. Lawrence Shear did such a great job. The cinematography is so good. The performances are good. Like, it's all good. There's so much good in it. But I feel like every time the film just starts to get rolling, the music comes in and you're like, why? Why are you doing this? I don't know. Like, I'm not going to sit here and give it like a 0 or I saw on Rotten Tomatoes, it's getting like 33% across the board. I'm not going to go that far, but it seems like a movie that's just confused about what it is and what it wants to be. But I do appreciate the fact that a risk was taken. Sometimes you swing and you miss, but I like that a risk was taken at that level, because it's a major a major studio film. I think it was like $100 million budget or more, something like that. Don't quote me. To take a risk like that on a franchise that has proven to be wildly successful, on a character that has been proven to be wildly successful for decades, to take a risk like this, woo, that is scary.
Well, I want to ask you, you're a fan of musicals.
Yeah.
How did this feel different? Because obviously with musicals, it certainly varies. There are some movies that have more music in it than others, but generally speaking, they're not singing the entire time. They're, going through a regular performance and then breaking into song. How did this feel different in that it didn't work?
So I would say that's a really good question. I don't know why. I can't put my finger on why it didn't work, or I couldn't while I was watching it. When I'm thinking back to it, it pulls me out of the movie probably because it almost feels like it may have even been more impactful if they didn't sing and they just used cool cinematic versions of these old songs. Because they use a lot of kind of old standards to help support the storyline. And I feel like if they just did interesting orchestral versions of these songs and let them be the score for the film, it may have been more impactful versus actually going and singing it, because it just pulls you out of the character. It pulls you out of the film for some reason. It's a weird thing. It's an interesting question. I really don't know how to answer it. It just didn't feel right. And I don't quite know why. Maybe there's a genius in the strangeness that decades from now people will be appreciative of. But I kind of feel like it's just strange.
Okay. But maybe it's because we don't normally see superhero movies with music like that or musicals. It could be just that.
Yeah, and I think also too, a lot of the musical numbers were fantasy. They weren't really happening. So you were constantly coming in and out of fantasy with this character. And I know that was what happened in the first one, but you didn't know it was happening in the first one until closer to the end, when it was revealed that a lot of the stuff you just saw was in his head and not in real life. With this
Spoilers.
one, well, I mean, if you didn't see the first Joker, come on. But you know what I mean? You're just constantly being taken out of reality, and the story itself could have been interesting and was interesting if you took out all the songs, which is not to say no one did a bad job. Everything was good. The acting was good. The performances, nice. Set design, of course, beautiful. Cinematography was great. I thought the directing was really interesting and complex. I'm just why was it a musical? I almost feel like if at the very beginning when that idea came up, if someone was just but why though? And if that would have saved everything, if they just questioned it. But maybe there's a great reason for it that I don't know, and I certainly am not going to. I'm not going to crap on it.
I wonder if it's just a matter of the fact that they got Lady Gaga to play Harley Quinn, and they're like, we got to do something with her beautiful musical talents. Let's turn it into a musical.
But she also has acting talents. She's such a presence. I almost feel like it belittled her a little bit by being yeah, we're going to have you in here, but we're going to make you sing. Which is obviously what she's known for too, but it's almost like she could have just done a cool version of her character without that. I don't know. It's weird. It's I want to be honest with the way that I felt about it. I'm glad I saw it. It's interesting for sure. It's compelling. A lot of people have a lot to say about it. I left the theater not feeling like it was bad. I left the theater feeling like I don't know why it was made this way, but I did watch the whole thing. I stayed to the end, which doesn't happen all the time.
Yeah. You know what stinks? This is the second movie in a row for Lady Gaga that did not do well. House of Gucci was the last one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that really didn't do well. No. I thought it was pretty good, though. And we had the cinematographer on for it, too. I thought it looked good. It was, it was an interesting watch. I don't know. But I remember when Madonna was doing her movies, it was very similar. Like she was trying to break out from music to movies and got kind of crap reviews, and some of the movies were kind of a miss, kind of a hit. They were sort of lukewarm reception. Not all of them, but especially near the beginning. Maybe it's just really tough to get to do that crossover. It might just be really, really tough because she has the chops. I don't know, but that's it. So not the best, most thought out, most brilliant review of all time, but I'm just giving you my honest opinion. It is what it is. I'm sure people out there listening have their own opinions. I'd love to hear it because, we're a show primarily about the creation of film and creation of TV, not necessarily reviewing TV and film. So from that point of view, I'd love to know what you guys think. So let us know in the comments. But I also wanted to bring up some news that came up in the past few days. I don't know. I've been paying very close attention to AI's influence in cinematography and in filmmaking. I'm kind of pulling you down this rabbit hole, Connor, because I feel like there's a lot of potential in it for BC Media Productions and also at grander scales. But for anybody that's following this, at the base, I think everybody understands what Chat GPT is. And I think everybody understands what text to photo is, because that's been, you can type, give me an image of, an elephant with pom-poms in a circus doing whatever, and it'll give you something. I don't know if everybody understands that you can do text to video and you can do video to video, uploading a base video and then adding things to it, or giving some text prompts of what you want your video to be. Firefly came out with a video model. It's not out yet, but they announced their video model. About a week ago, Meta announced their video model. Have you seen any of these, Connor?
I remember, I think it was before Firefly. I remember a couple of months ago, if not more, seeing some videos created by AI and being amazed, because just a couple of years prior, I remember the Will Smith video that was created where he's like eating spaghetti and how terrible that looked.
Yes.
And like how far we've come. It's just incredible.
It's amazing. This is the Firefly model that they announced it earlier in September. I don't know when it's coming. I feel like it might be coming earlier in the new year. I don't remember 100%, but it's pretty incredible for a couple of reasons. First of all, Adobe's doing really good with their generative AI that they implemented in Photoshop and Premiere. They do a really good job with it. Their prompting is great, or their ability to interpret prompts is really great. They're making updates to the photography model, but they're also adding some video modeling in here that you'll see. It's pretty good, and it rivals some of the ones that have been at the top up until now. I think when this comes out, we're going to start seeing some real competition in the space from major players like Adobe. This is one of the features that really caught my eye. One of the biggest problems with AI generative video is that you can't really have consistency across shots because every image is a little bit different. It's getting better. But one of the things that they're doing here is you can upload original footage and generate a secondary shot, which is wild. So they do it as an example here where it's like, let's say we filmed this girl with the magnifying glass. We're like, oh, we didn't get a close-up. Let's make one. That is a real, that's a real tool that can be applied to video production of all different budgets. This to me is the kind of game-changing stuff. I'm blown away, and I agree with you that this is one of the things that caught my eye. Like the idea of creating video from scratch is certainly interesting, like I was saying a moment ago. But the fact that you can give it a piece of existing video and it can interpret it and understand what's happening and then generate something new based off that is incredible. Like this, I think, is what I'm more excited about from a producer or editor perspective. Yeah, Premiere already has, I don't know if it's out right now or if it's coming out, like a clip extension which is kind of cool. So you can add, because we've all been in those situations where you're trying to hit the beat of the music and you're like, oh, if this clip was just a little bit longer, it's giving you some clip extension possibilities. But this is another thing here where the Firefly video model is incredible. Look at this. Alongside prompting, you can choose the type of shot, the type of angle, and camera motion. So you can be like, I want a close-up at eye level that tilts down. I mean, the possibilities are really starting to get outrageously good. And it's in its infancy. So if things like don't look amazing, or it's like there's a little bit of weirdness in the shot, you're accepting it because you know it's not 100% ready to go. But what it's able to do, look at this. Look at how good that looks. Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah, for those that are just listening to the podcast, aren't watching the video, it's incredible. We're seeing a shot of this guy who's, I guess, in the rain, who's very wet on his face. It's very close up on it. There's shallow depth of field. You're getting water in the foreground. The lighting is very moody, where he's mainly lit with a key that's very warm, and then his fill is very blue. Like, it's incredible, and I'd love to see. Actually, is that the prompt right there?
Yeah, read this prompt, because the prompts are everything. You got to learn how to do good prompts.
I guess what they've written to get this shot is cinematic close-up and detailed portrait of a man in the middle of a rainy street. The lighting is moody and dramatic. The color grade is blues and teals. The man is extremely realistic with detailed skin texture and stubble on his face. Movement is subtle and soft. The camera doesn't move. Heavy film grain and textures. Beads of water slowly rolling down his face. So I feel like it got a lot of that.
Yes, absolutely. And when you do these things, it'll usually give you a couple different versions, and you can narrow it a little bit and change the prompts. But the prompting is key. And for anyone that has done this with just the photography, you know how important prompts are. They also have this, which I know for those of you that are just listening and not watching, you can create elements and effects. So it supports a broad variety of use cases, including creating atmospheric elements like fire, smoke, dust particles, and water against black or green backgrounds, and then layered onto existing footage. So it's starting now to not only go into the video production world, it's going into the graphics and animation world. And we're talking about something that has only been around for like a couple of years and only been in people's minds for maybe months. Some people may not even know this exists yet. That's how fresh it is. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's amazing. I can't, for better or for worse, I can't wait to see where this technology ends up landing in the next, 5 years.
Yeah. I think the key is going to be, what I love about it is everybody has access to these tools. Now we're not talking about buying a $10,000 camera, $3,000 camera. We're not talking about that. Now we're just talking about paying for credits and being able to create shots from absolutely nothing. This does not scare me because I have lived through, the 5D, completely like game-changing, industry-changing piece of technology. And it's fine. Like, we all made it through. Yes, this is going to be a problem for some industries, for some people, but I do feel like this is progress, and interesting progress, and a tool that's going to give us so much more creative capabilities. Like, I love this. I want to get good at this. I want to learn how to do good prompts. I want to start using this in real-world applications. I don't know. I'm just so excited by it, and it's so different that it's just so fun to me to see this stuff come together. So anyway, the news of the week, though, is not Adobe Firefly. The news of the week is that Meta is jumping into the game. They've been, for anybody using Facebook and Instagram, you know that they have been tossing in little AI tools for the past few months. Now they're saying 2025, we are putting out Meta Movie Gen, which is right here. I'm sharing my screen for those of you that are watching on YouTube. Same sort of thing, generate videos from text, edit videos with text, which is kind of interesting. there's just so much possibility.
This is, I think, what I'm more interested in for Meta's tool specifically. The fact that you can give it a piece of footage and overlay certain things or replace certain elements on the screen. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, there's just so much here. Of course, I'll put a link to it in the show notes. You can upload an image of yourself, your likeness, and create videos with you in them. I mean, it's wild. It's just going to get more and more wild. And the competition that is in the space right now is breeding so much innovation, which is really exciting. It's an exciting time and a scary time in video production. But I mean, we live in a wild world, and this is really a fun thing to watch. So that's all I got to say about AI for today. And we're trying to keep these episodes that are not interview-based around the 30-minute mark. So unless there's anything else you wanted to chat about, Connor, I feel like we should start wrapping it up.
Yeah, I think that's about it for this week.
All right. Well, a couple things going on. We are working on some new, fresh interviews for Go Creative Show with cinematographers and filmmakers for TV and film. We've got a lot of requests out there and some people clamoring to get on the show because now that it's back, everyone's very excited to speak with us and to speak with all of you. So that is on the way. I want to thank everyone that reached out last week regarding sharing their demo reels for cinematography. We did a whole episode about finding crews in different parts of the world that you're not in, and we got a lot of response from that one with people saying, oh, I'm in Denver, I'm here, I'm there, check out my work. So we're really thankful for that. And of course, we want to use people that are part of our Go Creative Show community. So let's keep that conversation alive. All Things Go Creative Show, All Things Go Creative Show at gocreativeshow.com. And don't forget to subscribe to us on your favorite podcast app, and of course, YouTube, so you can not only hear the show, but see the show. Connor, anything else you want to share with our fine Go Creative Show listeners out there?
I think in the next week or so, we're excited to share some rebranding for our production company, so stay tuned for that. Oh,
yes. BC Media Production has a fresh new look on the way. And for anybody that lives in Haverhill and has walked by my office, you've already seen it. But for everybody else, it's going to be rolling out in the next couple of weeks. So no episode tomorrow, everybody. So don't get mad at us tomorrow. No episode next week because Connor's out on a shoot and everybody's really busy, but we'll be back in a couple of weeks. So until then, we will see you on the next episode, whenever it is, of Go Creative Show, a podcast for filmmakers.